I'd like to call this meeting to order, the regular City Council meeting this Tuesday, June 11th. The clerk will please call the roll.
Mayor Wolcott.
Here.
Vice Mayor Biendo.
Here.
Councilmember Williams.
Here.
Councilmember Villanueva.
Here.
Councilmember Alton.
Almost here.
Councilmember Hall.
Here.
Thank you.
Thank you. And if you'll all please rise and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Amen.
Thank you. City Manager, do you have a report this evening?
No report, Madam Chair.
City Attorney's report?
No report this evening, Madam Chair.
Oh, moving along. And the regular City Council agenda includes a consent agenda with one item. Is there any discussion on this consent agenda, or I'll entertain a motion if there is not?
So moved.
A motion has been made. Is there a second?
Second.
Motion has been made and seconded to approve consent agenda item and one and only item number 1. All those in favor? Actually, the clerk will take the roll.
I need Vice Mayor Biendo's vote, please. Unanimous yes vote, Mayor.
Thank you. Next item.
Item number 2. Mayor Wolcott will be recognizing June as Procurement Awareness Month.
And so I do believe Dennis Kirkland is in the audience. There you are, Dennis. Okay. I'm going to be giving this to you as soon as I finish reading it. Whereas local businesses are the lifeblood of Surprise's economy, and whereas the City of Surprise procures hundreds of thousands of dollars worth of goods and services a year for operations, and whereas it is in the city's social and economic interest to support the development of and foster the success of business in Surprise, and whereas the city wishes to educate businesses in the area about the ways and means of doing business with the City of Surprise and other local government entities. Therefore, be it resolved that I, Sharon Wolcott, Mayor of Surprise, in association with the Surprise Chamber of Commerce, do hereby proclaim June 2013 as Procurement Month and encourage residents and businesses to learn about the opportunities available to them in doing business with the City of Surprise. And so, I would like to present this to you, if you would. As you know, we have just concluded a procurement fair, and we very much appreciate the support and participation of the Chamber of Commerce, and the city is very glad to be a participant in terms of helping our businesses do business with us, and so we wanted to recognize that. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks, Dennis.
Next item.
Consideration and action on Resolution 2013-56. This is a resolution authorizing the Community and Recreation Services Department to accept a grant for the Area Agency on Aging.
Mr. Coronado.
Good evening, Madam Mayor, members of the council. Mr. Hillman, we were with you last week, and we talked about the congregate meal program and the $50,000 grant. So I'm here to answer any questions if you have so, but it seemed like everybody had all their questions answered last week.
Are there any further questions on this item?
I move to approve resolution number 2013-56, a resolution of the Mayor and Council of the City of Surprise, Arizona, authorizing the Community and Recreation Services Department to accept a grant award from the Area Agency on Aging.
Second.
There's been a motion made and seconded to approve this item as presented. Seeing no further discussion, the clerk will take the roll.
Unanimous yes vote, Mayor.
Thank you. Next item.
Consideration and action regarding Resolution 2013-48, and this is a Maricopa County Library District Agreement.
This is a decade ongoing IGA with the Maricopa County Library District to operate the Hollyhock facility, which is open Tuesdays and Thursdays from 2 to 6. I had a presentation last week. I answered most questions. I'm happy to answer any this evening.
Any further questions, gentlemen? Seeing none, I'll accept a motion.
Move to approve Resolution 2013-48 and the 11th operating agreement extending the intergovernmental agreement between the Library District and the City of Surprise for the operation of the Howell Branch Library.
Second.
A motion has been made and seconded to approve this item as presented. Seeing no further discussion, the clerk will take the roll.
Unanimous yes vote, Mayor.
Thank you. Next item.
Consideration and action regarding entering a professional services agreement for construction of the Marley Park restroom and parking lot expansion project.
Mr.
Mayor.
Coronado.
Madam Mayor, members of the council, Mr. Hillman, we are looking for the okay to enter into this contract with the construction team here. We are looking to ask DVP with your okay this evening to proceed with the project later this month. We look to have it a 90 to 120 day project. The long-awaited restroom would be a great complement to the Marley Park Community Park area.
Any further questions
Through the chair.
for Williams?
Just a comment, and Mark indicated long awaited, and the residents in that area have waited a long time, as well as the folks that utilize that park for the softball fields and other amenities that are there. So looking forward to the completion of this bathroom facility.
I think there will be a community celebration. I'll entertain a motion, Councilman Williams.
I move to approve contract with DVP.
Oh, I'm sorry, keep going.
Professional builders for construction of the Marley Park restroom and park lot expansion project not to exceed $520,000.
Second.
There's been a motion made and seconded to approve this item as presented. Further discussion, Councilmember Alton.
Thank you. Mark, this has been a long coming. How long has it been since we owed Marley Park this facility?
When we opened Marley Park initially, Mr. Alton, the Marley Park residents were not in favor, the HOA was not in favor of a restroom. So in the original design, when we put this facility together, it was requested by the HOA and DMB that no restroom be utilized, and that the restrooms at the Marley Park Elementary School would be sufficient to handle the folks who visited the park. Throughout the years, the community has grown. The residents have started to utilize the park, and the residents have come to us and said, "Hey, what about a restroom?" We've had several public meetings with DMB and the HOA. They have all been very receptive. We have probably been talking about this for around 4.5 years, and funding was the problem. And in partnership with Public Works and the city manager's office and the city attorney's office, we were able to partner with a development agreement amendment, I believe, that authorized this project through the Marley Park CFD funds. So this is at no cost to the city, and this actually saves, Councilman Alton, saves us about $20,000 to $25,000 a year. We will no longer have to open the restrooms at Marley Park. So it's been a 4.5 year journey.
Councilman Alton.
Mayor, we have had portable restrooms right there.
On occasion, but rarely. It's not preferred by the residents and from us from a health
And so
perspective.
if we're going to do this now, so is Surprise Farms next?
I actually had a conversation with Mr. Hillman and Assistant City Manager Mihalik, and we are going to have a Parks and Recreation Advisory Board meeting at the end of this month, and we are going to discuss a process for a public process to prioritize those contingency funds that Mr. Hillman left in the budget as a contingency. There's approximately $3.4 million that are available for us for the Parks and Recreation Advisory Board to make a recommendation to the city manager and to this body so we can move forward prioritizing. So to answer, Councilman Alton, your question, I can tell you that we are keenly aware of the needs of the Surprise Farms residents, and they are on our radar screen brightly. And I will tell you, though, that we will let the Parks and Rec Advisory Board give us our direction to bring it to you for discussion and possible approval.
Councilmember Alton.
Mark, Surprise Farms is very high on our radar, and I got to think that the rest of the council is thinking the same way. We owe it. We have been delaying them for a long time, and we have to find a way Mr. Hillman, in order to facilitate this change, okay? And since we have $3.5 million in the contingencies, I think that we need to address that. Before we do anything else with any other parks, we need to help Surprise Farms because it's kind of like been promised for a long time, just as Marley Park has. So I thank you for your presentation, and I look forward to discussing this with you in the future.
Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, the clerk will take the roll.
Unanimous vote, Mayor.
Thank you. And the next item?
This is, excuse me, consideration and action to appoint one of the District 5 applicants to fill a vacancy created by the resignation of Councilmember Mike Woodard to serve the remainder of the term for this district through December 31st, 2013.
Anyone here?
And we have in front of you the instructions.
I have my script.
Okay.
Any council member may nominate any qualified applicant as a candidate to fill the vacancy with no second required. All nominations shall occur prior to voting. The council shall then vote by written ballot. The candidate receiving a majority of the votes shall be selected to fill the vacant unexpired term of the office of council member. In the event that no candidate receives a majority of votes, the two candidates receiving the highest votes shall be considered in a runoff vote. In the event that no candidate receives a majority vote, the council shall reopen the application process and repeat the process set forth in this section until such a time as a candidate receives a majority vote. At this time, I'll open the nominations. Is there any nomination?
Madam Chair.
Vice Mayor.
Madam Chair, I nominate Leo Mankiewicz to fill the vacancy for the remainder of the term for District 5 through December 31st, 2013.
Thank you. Are there any further nominations? Are there any further nominations? Are there any further nominations? Seeing none, I'll close the nomination. We have, I believe, a simple ballot. We will then, council will now cast your vote on the ballot, and those will be collected. Madam Attorney, would you mind?
Madam Attorney? Oh. Madam, thank you.
They're little. They're little ballots.
This is suspenseful.
Thank you very much. Bienda voted for Mankiewicz. Mayor voted for Mankiewicz. Alton voted for Mankiewicz. Villanueva voted for Mankiewicz. And Williams voted for Mankiewicz. That's unanimous.
Thank you. Mr. Mankiewicz, Leo, thank you very much, and congratulations. The city clerk, when do you plan to swear him in?
I would like to swear you in sometime this week, if possible, in my office. Then you'll be effective to actually participate with the June 18th meeting, and we'll do a ceremonial swearing in at that time.
Very good. Leo, we look forward to working with you. Thank you so much for your application. We're very much grateful for you.
Thanks.
Thank you so much. All right, next item.
This is a presentation, discussion, and approval of Resolution 2013-72, fiscal year 2012 interfund transfers.
Good evening. Is this on? Hello? Hello? There we go.
You still might want to pull it forward, Chris. You're so soft-spoken.
I am so soft-spoken. Wow, this thing is really low. I'll put my lip right on. Anyways, good evening, Madam Chair, members of the council. I come before you wearing the CFO hat this evening to walk you through some of the final procedures for closing out our fiscal year 12 audit. And next week, you'll be receiving the audit reports along with the post-audit work. However, as part of that process, which is standard, we will be going through the necessary budget changes that are required by statute, as well as your own policies relative to making sure that our fiscal year 12 process closes out completely and accurately. And so what we're going to be doing is, walking you through the broad process of that. If you have any questions, especially on the technical questions, you received all the different interfund transfers, as well as some of the budget adjustments relative to fiscal year 12 in your packets. If you have any questions, Lindsay and even Andrea is here. If you have any specific questions, we'll be happy to answer those. But for our audience here and the folks watching at home, what I'd like to do is walk through the amendments first. Oh, we're going to do the transfers first. We'll walk through the transfers first. Again, per your policy, as you see stated there, it's your comprehensive financial management policies. It's number 17. All cash transfers between funds must be approved by the City Council. Those are excluding those related to capital assets. And so these are, again, the interfund transfers. And again, per your policy, you have to approve those, each one of those, and that is definitely a good policy to have. The different types of interfund transfers, again, you can see on your list what those interfund transfers are. Many of those transfers are to debt service funds from various funds. Again, as we go out there and issue debt, there's a fund that is set up and established to help pay for that debt. Different funds will then transfer monies over to make sure that those debt payments are made. There are different transfers from the general fund over to the enterprise funds, specifically for some of the indirect costs. Payments in lieu of taxes, the franchise fees, as well as a sanitation hauler's license. The construction sales tax, the general capital fund from the general fund. Again, that's per your policy as well. After the first $1.25 million is received, that stays in the general fund operations. The remainder is then transferred over to the capital projects fund. There's an accounting change to establish the new special revenue fund for net premium seating. From the general fund, that's over at the stadium, and that's per the agreements that we have with the Rangers and the Royals. So we're creating a special revenue fund like we were continuing to do in our current or proposed fiscal year 14 budget. We're beginning to create these special revenue funds to better track and account, for the money that we have coming in, as well as the sponsorships of the CTCA to the general fund from the donations fund. CRS does a good job going out there receiving donations and sponsorships. We have to make those final transfers over, from that sponsorship and donation fund over to the general fund to help pay for the CTCA costs. Mm-hmm. So with that, and again, you have the list of the transfers there. If you have any questions on those transfers or any questions overall, we'd be happy to answer them on the interfund transfers.
Councilmember Williams.
Just as clarification, Chris, because when you say interfund, some folks associate that with interfund loans, and this is quite different, and this is part of a predetermined routine budget to finalize our finances.
That is correct. Thank you for that clarification. Again, these are interfund transfers. These are not loans that are going in between the funds. But again, per your policy, anytime money moves from one fund, whether it's the general fund, an enterprise fund, a debt service fund, an impact fee fund, whatever it might be, you as a council want to approve each one of those, and that is a good financial safe policy. That's one of the lessons that we learned, quite honestly, through the last couple of years of us going through our previous financial history. So it's very responsive. So thank you for that clarification.
Vice Mayor Biondo.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Chris, tell me again the advantage of creating that special revenue fund for the premium seating.
Mm-hmm. You bet. On each one of those, there's a premium seating charge that we receive. And more specifics, maybe Mark might even be here to help. I'm not sure if he was here or not. Yep. Might be able to help provide some clarification. We have contracts with the Rangers and the Royals, and certain charges and certain revenues that we receive go back to those teams. What we're trying to do is create these special revenue funds to help better track and keep account of those special revenues that we receive that we then ship over to the Rangers and the Royals. Would that be correct, Mark? Okay.
That would be accurate. The premium seating, Councilman, Vice Mayor Biondo, excuse me, those are the seats that are on top, the upper deck, 300 on each side. We charge a $3 premium per ticket, and that ticket that $3 is dedicated. It gets deposited. This is really general fund cleanup, I think, so we can actually track it, and we've always kept it in a separate fund. And then what happens is the Rangers and Royals, per the contract, have the opportunity to utilize that for improvements to to their clubhouses and, minor things that they need to buy a refrigerator, et cetera, et cetera.
Great, thank you.
Any further questions? Seeing none, this is an item that needs approval, so I'll entertain a motion.
Second.
Been a motion made and second to approve this item as presented. Seeing no further discussion, the clerk will take the roll.
Unanimous yes vote, Mayor?
Did you get the motion? Okay,
Alton, yes, thank you.
thank you. Next item.
All right, Madam Chair, members of the council, again, continuing our discussion, we first talked about the transfer. These are now the official amendments to the fiscal year 12 budget. There are several technical budget amendments. Can you hear now?
Excuse me. We get the message. Chris, could you just
there
pull
we
it,
go.
pull it? There you go. You're going to have
All
to pull it. There you go. Thank you.
Okay, I will talk louder. All right. There are several technical budget amendments that we go through, each and every year. So this is, again, it's the house cleaning that we always follow through, in this process. These amendments are made to maintain the legal compliance for our budget, as well to comply with the council policy. The amendments do not increase the overall budget. That is set and established, in your tentative and then in your final budget. So it does not increase. We make these amendments within those parameters and the guidelines. Specifically, the type of budget amendments that you have sitting there in front of you. Again, we're getting back to these special revenue funds. We are creating those special revenue funds, so that's one amendment, and making those transfers. We are doing the reimbursement for developer agreements. Most notably is the Prasada development agreements. We are anticipating X amount of dollars that were coming in for sales tax. The good news is that the sales tax was actually higher. We received more money, and so therefore we will be transferring, and amending the budget to make sure that those amounts are properly allocated, and then as well as an accounting transaction to record uncollectible impact fees. So those are the broad classifications of each one of those amendments. You can, again, see those list of amendments there in front of you. If you have any questions, we'll be happy to answer them.
Any questions, council members? Seeing none, this also is an item for approval. I'll entertain a motion.
I move to approve Resolution 2013-65.
Second.
There's been a motion made and second to approve this item as presented. Seeing no further discussion, the clerk will take the roll.
Unanimous yes vote, Mayor?
Thank you. Thanks, Chris. And the next item?
Consideration and action on a resolution of the Council of the City of Surprise authorizing the submission of an application for grant consideration by the Gila River Indian Community.
Is there someone to present this item?
This item was submitted by Jessica and under Michael Salaya's name.
Mr. Salaya, is Jessica Blazinka around?
The Gila River.
This is an item that just needs approval that we talked about last time? All right. Are there any, well, there's no need to answer questions, but I'm assuming that we've walked through this in our work session. So council members, I will entertain a motion to approve this item for the submission of a grant application.
I move to approve Resolution 2013-69.
Second.
There's been a motion made and seconded to approve this item as presented. Seeing no discussion, the clerk will take the roll.
Unanimous yes vote, Mayor?
Thank you. Next item.
Consideration and action to approve the settlement agreement in the amount of $85,000 in the matter of Talus Construction Corporation versus City of Surprise.
Ms. Leslie?
Yes, Madam Mayor. Mayor and Council, this is an action that was brought by Talus Construction Company versus the City of Surprise, arising out of actions on March 25th, 2013. I will speak up, Mr. Alton. Thank you. Telus Construction Company did some work for a project out on Dysart and Grand Avenue. There was a disagreement about the money owed to Telus Corporation. They sued on March 25th, 2013. In resolution of that, the settlement agreement has been presented to you. It is attached to the agenda. It's for $85,000.
Any questions, gentlemen?
Yes.
Councilmember Alton.
Why has this come to fruition?
Why was the lawsuit?
Why is the lawsuit? Yeah.
The lawsuit arose out of a disagreement whether or not the construction company should be paid the retention and some invoices arising out of some change orders. There was delays in the construction which caused the disagreement between parties.
So one party didn't fulfill and the other party didn't fulfill.
Telus Corporation stopped work for a period of time.
Mm-hmm.
They then had several change orders that they submitted. There was a disagreement as to whether or not those change orders were within the parameters of the construction contract that they signed with the City of Surprise. The retention was then not paid, nor were the change order invoices. Upon further review, it was determined that there was potential for us to lose, and so we recommended settlement, and so we proceeded with council's direction relative to the parameters of those, and that's what we're being presented with you tonight.
What, given the contract in its in onslaught, what would we have owed them to fulfill their contract versus the $85,000?
It wasn't about the contract. It was about the change orders and the retention.
Okay.
And it was less. They also get attorney's fees and things like that. So the amount at issue was greater than $85,000. The amount that we're settling for is $85,000 upon approval of council.
So it was greater than $85,000.
The amount at risk, yes.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there any further questions on this item? Councilmember Hall, did you have a question, or did you wish to make a motion?
I'm good. I move to approve the settlement agreement between Telus Construction Corp. and the City of Surprise in the amount of $85,000 and authorize the city attorney to execute the agreement.
Second.
There's been a motion made and seconded to approve this item as presented. If there's no further discussion, the clerk will take the roll.
Unanimous yes vote, Mayor.
Thank you. The last regular item on the agenda.
Yes, this is the first of two public hearings regarding the City of Surprise fiscal year 2014 budget and intent to levy primary property taxes in the amount of $0.7783 per $100 of assessed valuation. And the second public hearing to be held on June 18, 2013.
Mr. Hillman.
I am going to swallow this thing now. Can you hear me, Frank?
Thumbs
He
up.
says thumbs up.
Good. Okay, Madam Chair, members of the council, as just mentioned by Sherry, we're going to be going through two public hearing components relative to the budget, and you're setting your property tax rates, your SLID rates, et cetera. There is very simple information we're just going to run through just for the purposes of the public hearing, just to provide the information over to the residents. Nothing has changed. This is all very familiar information to you, but just to make sure that we run through the basic information. Again, for the final budget that you will be approving on the 18th, you can see the slide here. It's a total of a $205.3 million budget. It's broken down, as you see, in each one of those different funds. Your primary property tax rate amount and the levy is there. Again, as a council, you set the property tax revenues that you're coming in, and then the levy rate is actually established based upon what the revenues are versus the total assessed value. Your SLID levies, again, your total budget, your costs are $2.6 million. For your SLIDs for 2014, you have 105 of them and counting, as we've discussed before. For 2014, fiscal year 2014, instead of a 10% reserve balance, council decided to move forward on a 5% reserve balance. The administration cost for $500 per SLID is $51,200, and you can see the total levy amount is $2.235 million. Again, your levy amount is lower than what your expenses are because you're using those fund balances going from 10% to 5%. The rest of the calendar, as you can see it, on June 18th, you have the second public hearing, which will run through. You'll do the final budget adoption on June 18th, and then on July 2nd, in order to maintain, all of the public notice requirements and periods, et cetera. And we definitely appreciate the legal's input, in direction to make sure we do this appropriately and in all of our proper noticing. It will be on July 2nd. So with that, that's our presentation, and we appreciate it.
Thank you. Any questions from the council before we open the public hearing? Seeing none, we'll open the public hearing. And if there's any member of the public who wishes to address the council at this time, this is your chance, the first of two. Is there anyone that wishes to address the council at this time? Seeing none, we'll close the public hearing. And again, you'll have another chance. So if you have an opportunity to further look at the budget, you're more than welcome to come back at the next public hearing, which will again be on the 18th, prior to our adoption of the budget. So with that, we have reached the last item on our agenda, which is the call to the public itself. Do we have anyone that has signed up for the call this evening?
No, Mayor.
Thank you. Well, thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for all showing up and being so attentive. We appreciate that very much. At this time, we have reports from the mayor and council, and so I will ask Councilmember Hall to start.
Thank you, Mayor. Just a couple of things very quick. I had a commitment when Intrepid Tool did their grand opening, and I couldn't make it. And I've been wanting to get down there. So this last week, Rich Rogers, the operations manager for Intrepid Tool, was kind enough to tour myself and 5 of my constituents through Intrepid Tool, and we got to see the inner workings of how they make tools. I mean, they supply Boeing, they supply Lockheed, they supply Northrop Grumman, which does the F-22, the F-35. So these guys have got, and they're certified suppliers, which is a big deal. And their sister company, as I found out, and I don't know if you knew this, Jeff, but their sister company just closed on the building next door, and they're moving here from Chicago. So that's cool. Anyway, so I wanted to bring that up. The other thing is I was in Chandler today meeting with some people that have a family fun center, and I talked to them about coming to Surprise. They have a high interest. Jeff and Mike's going to follow up on it, but it's a perfect operation for the city of Surprise for our families. And so I hope we can make something out of it. They're very interested. And as it turns out, the general manager lives in Peoria. And he commutes all the way to Chandler. So anyway, hope something can turn out for that. Thanks.
We'd love to have a closer commute. That'd be great. Thank you. Vice Mayor?
I'd like to thank all the candidates who came forward for the District 5 vacancy. We very much appreciate when people are so interested and willing to serve the community. So I want to thank all 3 candidates.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. Councilmember Alton.
Thank you. Remember small businesses. Okay? There's an initiative nationwide that support small businesses. And if we can shop at our local small businesses and return the investment in them to help them grow, that would be awesome. So just to remind you, if we have a tendency to go to Peoria or Glendale or anywhere else to shop, let's see if there's something available here in Surprise to fulfill the needs. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Councilmember Villanueva.
Yes. This morning attended the chamber breakfast, and they had a speaker there that how to improve your memory, but I forgot his name. So, so that was.
Come on, I know how to spell it, don't you?
Yeah. That's it.
Is that it? Okay. Councilmember Williams.
No report, Mayor. Thank you.
Okay. I have a report, and I'll just give you some abbreviated items. One specifically is many of us have heard from constituents issues about the water quality issues since there's been a change in water providers. And Councilmember Hall and Vice Mayor Biondo and I met with EPCOR on May 30th and had a really great discussion with them. And they really want very much to be partners with us and make certain that everybody's happy with the quality of water. They gave us some information that was really quite enlightening, honestly, about their operations. I raised a specific concern that I think many of you share, and that's, your dishes look kind of cloudy coming out of the dishwasher. And so their intergovernment relations individual said, well, my wife will not tolerate dirty dishes, cloudy dishes. And he said, have you ever tried Lemmy Shine? And I said, no, I've never tried Lemmy Shine. And he said, oh, you've got to try Lemmy Shine. So it was a great discussion, and I have to tell you, I went out and bought some Lemmy Shine. I did try it, and most of the glasses are great. It really did improve it vastly. Some others, I think I'm going to have to use another method to clean, but for general use, I think it made a big difference. So at any rate, I came into the office this week, and I discovered on my desk just a box of Lemmy Shine for each of you. And so I wanted to just pass that out and let you know that you have a chance to try this out. And you might want to talk to your constituents about how this can help clean the dishes. So there you have it. There you have it. And so anyway, again, I would encourage council members, when you have your town meetings, your coffees, if you would like to have EPCOR, a representative from EPCOR, come and talk to your constituents about the issues with the water, they offered to do so. And yes, they will be, I believe, at your meeting. And so it's an opportunity, and they very much want to participate in that education process for our community. So I very much appreciated that. I also really want to congratulate the city and the chamber for the procurement fair. What a great event. And it really shows that we are serious about trying to help businesses do business with us. And of course, that was the genesis too of the resolution that I read earlier this evening. So congratulations to all that participated in that again. Also, I attended the West Valley Women's 5th Annual Meet the Mayors Luncheon, and there were several mayors that attended. And this morning, we had probably one of the most lively West Valley mayors and managers meetings that I think the West Valley has ever seen. And I personally want to thank our own city manager for his participation. Chris, you did a great job, and I think it was really, really a great opportunity for all those voices around the table from all of the West Valley communities to hear about how we can work together in a much more effective way. And I think one of the most exciting moments for me was to hear from Councilman Nowakowski from Phoenix, because you have the councilman from the central city of Phoenix reaching out and saying, West Valley, we are a team, we're working together. And he was just very, very supportive of us. So it was a tremendous opportunity. And again, this really helps us continue to build these relationships in the West Valley with our partners in all of our cities. So again, very successful event, and I want to thank my staff for helping set this up, because it was a really nice event this morning. So our staff from the 4th floor, Nicole, and Janine, thank you so very much. Appreciate it. And with that, I just ask, are there any future items that you wish to add to the agenda, coming agenda? I will say this, we have 2 meetings left, and the next council agenda is getting really jammed. And the one following that is getting pretty jammed too. And I want to ask you if it's all right with everyone that we do on the second, we have to come in for the final vote. And so if we can do the mid-year reviews that same time, since we have to come in here anyway, it should be a short review session on those items for the reviews. So given that, is there an item that you wish to put forward?
Yes. It's an old subject. It's slits, in particularly one area which is Market Street and Dysart. So we'd like to have that discussion at a workshop and as soon as possible.
Okay.
And-
Thank you very much.
And Mayor,
Councilmember Alton?
through your pleasure, I would like to be the second signer on that. This needs to be addressed as soon as possible. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you, sir.
Any further items? Okay. Guess so. All right. Seeing no further items, there is no need for an executive session this evening. I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Unless you give me the other one.
There's been a motion made and seconded to adjourn this meeting. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. This meeting is adjourned.
The Surprise Dial-A-Ride service provider is Valley Metro, who'll operate through Discount Cab under the name Northwest Valley Dial-A-Ride. Loop 303 widening work is underway in Surprise. The Arizona Department of Transportation will add 3 lanes of rubberized asphalt in each direction from Mountain View Boulevard to Peoria Avenue with a completion date of fall 2013. Stay on top of the project by clicking on the 303 link at surpriseaz.gov/transportation or call ADOT's 24-hour hotline at 1-855-712-8530. The Surprise City Council regular meetings are held the 2nd and 4th Tuesdays of the month. Regular meetings begin at 6 p.m. at Council Chambers at City Hall, 16,000 North Civic Center Plaza. And you can catch council meetings live right here on Surprise 11. Stay engaged with Surprise and join the City Council for special televised council agenda review meetings the 1st and 3rd Tuesdays of every month. At these work sessions, the Council will preview the following week's draft regular meeting agenda, discuss the issues, ask questions, give direction to staff, and also hear from you, the Surprise residents. No vote is taken at these work sessions. Instead, it's meant to be an informational preview session for the Council and the